Hey, welcome back everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. I hope you find this very informative because I wanted to talk in today's video a little bit about a very overlooked aspect of the cost of owning either a sports car or a supercar. And a lot of people, they get so wrapped up to what is the maintenance cost? What is the insurance cost? What is, the overall value that you get for those costs that you have to forego when you own the vehicle? But a lot of people forget a very important aspect, and that is depreciation value. Now, for the most part, depreciation value will be one of your highest expenses whenever owning a higher end car. And that is because depreciation can add up very, very quickly over a very short amount of period. And guess what? It happens for almost every car. Now, there are a few exceptions. There have been people that have bought very, very selective vehicles that have actually appreciated over time. But usually, to get your hands on that, you have to own, a very high-end collection. Some of those people, they already have a great relationship with, let's say, Lamborghini or Ferrari, and they can get like a 458 Speciale. It was a car that actually, if you purchased it from Ferrari and flipped it, which they really don't like you to do, there were people that made some very hefty profits on flipping those very, unique cars that were also lower production. But for the most part, depreciation will be something that will affect you if you're looking at any type of high-end sports car. And the higher you go up with price, increases how much potential depreciation you have. Now, I have a couple examples that I just wanted to show you to give you an idea of what you're looking at. We're going to actually start with a Corvette and a Z06 at that, and that is the new C7. And we're going to look at a 2016 Z06 that only has about a little less than 15,000 miles, and it is priced at $58,900. Now, this is a one owner. It looks like it's been taken care of very nicely, and it is, again, $58,900. And this is a car that, even though it's only got the 1LZ package on it, doesn't have the heated and cooled seats, it does have the automatic. So this stickered for a little bit over $80,000. So over a 2-year period, this car depreciated over $20,000, maybe closer to that $24,000. That's about $1,000 a month. So to give you guys perspective, when you're thinking of all of these costs that add up over time, the perishables, so changing the brakes, especially the tires, the rear tires are very expensive on a Z06. You have your insurance, and then obviously the biggest thing being the price of the car minus the depreciation. So this was an extra $1,000 a month that whoever bought this at MSRP, they may have gotten a little bit of a deal, but let's just say you bought it at sticker close to it, and then you take this depreciation hit, and this is a dealer selling it, so the person that actually gave it to them got less credit than what they're selling it for most likely. Usually, the dealer has to make a little bit of a profit on the side. So you're looking at a depreciation of an added $1,000 a month over that two-year period. So if you can imagine, that really is a chunk of change. That was by far the owner's most expensive part of owning that car. Tires, they got to pay for. Oil changes may have been included depending on kind of some of the packages you bought. It is still under warranty, so they wouldn't have had any mechanical issues to pay for. But it is a huge, huge expense, and you can't forget that. I've talked several times about the C6 that I own. I bought it for $25,000. The person that bought it, 10 years ago, they did have a chunk of depreciation. But it starts to flatten out over time. And the nice thing is with my C6, buying it at $25,000, if I have any depreciation, it will be very, very minimal. If anything, if I went to sell it today, I actually could probably sell it for more than I bought it for. Again, I just got a really good deal, but the point being is my depreciation is very low because the car is older and most of the depreciation has taken place. So there's usually a curve where the depreciation, is real high and then it slows down over time. And then some cars can actually start dipping back up depending on a whole host of factors. But I kind of wanted to bring that point up, and I wanted to use the Z06 as a great point to start off with, but then we're going to move along to a higher-end sports car, and we're actually going to look at a Huracan, a Lamborghini Huracan. Very, very famous car. Probably anybody watching this video is already familiar with it, and we have this beautiful yellow 2016 Huracan. And it does have a little bit higher mileage. We're looking at a little over 21,000, which for a Lamborghini I know is a little bit higher mileage, but it is a one owner. It's been very well taken care of. It has a free Carfax showing that it's been meticulously maintained. And so everything it's a great spec. It's got some very, very nice additions to the MSRP. And that MSRP price was about $240,000. This is selling for $189,000. So if the person added a few specs on there, it easily could have been pushing the $250,000 mark for this Lamborghini Huracan. So we're looking at a depreciation of close to $50,000 over a 2-year period. That's about $2,000 a month. In addition to, I was looking at the monthly payments, and I think if you did not put a whole lot down and you actually, just finance one of these, you're looking at, probably $4,000 a month, depending on how long your time period is that you're paying off the loan, obviously. But you add in that $2,000 depreciation. So let's say you were paying $400 to $4,500, tack on another $2,000 in cost to you as the owner of depreciation expense. So you can't forget that. That is a huge, huge part of owning a car. Obviously if something goes wrong, if it's not under warranty, that can be a huge cost. Obviously insurance, if you're doing a very expensive car, can be a very high expense. You have other things that can add up, but I'm telling you, you can't forget about depreciation. A lot of people looking for their first sports cars, especially if you're someone like me that, you've done well for yourself, but I'm not gonna go out and buy a Lamborghini Huracan. I can't afford that type of car. But I can afford, I could go out and buy a Z06, I could go out and buy an Audi R8, I could go out and buy a nice Jaguar, something along those $100,000 mark. Depreciation will be a huge killer for me if I bought a very new or brand new vehicle and then held it for a couple of years, because I'm going to eat that depreciation cost. Now, it definitely is a trade-off. It may be very well worth it to you, and that's something that I've definitely considered going into the future. It may be worth it to me, but you can't forget that I'm a numbers guy, so I have to include that cost into what it costs me for ownership. And so I just wanted to make this video, make it a little more informational for you guys, so you guys understood some of those huge key points, and really probably the biggest point that you need to consider when buying a car, because you want to look at, what did this car devalue over the next couple of years? What do I think it's going to cost to own it, and include that depreciation? Make sure you know that before you buy the car, because it may kind of skew what you want to do. You don't want to get into this car and then a year later think, oh, I've made this huge mistake. I mean, I enjoy it, but I have a massive bill on depreciation that I'm going to take. And a lot of people making monthly payments, by the time you pay interest, they may be actually in the hole or close to it. They may not be actually even having any principal left in it, because the amount they owe left on the loan minus the depreciation is what they're going to get for the car. So it's like, it's almost like they lease the car. So you got to take those things into consideration so that you can really make the best choice when you're buying, especially, like I said, for your first sports car. But yeah, guys, I hope you found this helpful, interesting. If you did, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're already a subscriber, thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are the best. And you all take care. I will see you all tomorrow.